Everybody, day 3 as we journey through John, and today we're going to be looking at verses 14 through 18. We'll get another chunk of scripture where we don't want to take too much time, but just get a little video out there, kind of get us going for the day and see what God can open up for us, okay? Hopefully the past couple days have been giving you something to think about, to challenge you and that sort of thing. But verse 14, starting right here, this is one of the big verses in scripture that proves that Jesus is who he said he was and what that means to us here. And it says, verse 14, "And the Word became flesh and dwelt among us, and we have seen his glory, the glory of the only Son from the Father, full of grace and truth. John bore witness about him and cried out, 'This is he of whom I said, he who comes after me ranks before me, because he was before me. For from his fullness we have all received grace upon grace.'" We talked about that yesterday. "For the law was given through Moses, grace and truth came through Jesus Christ. No one had ever seen God, the only God, who is at the Father's side. He has made him known." The Word became flesh. How amazing. "In the beginning was the Word was with God, the Word was God," is what we see in John 1:1. And that Word became flesh, that very God that we talked about that created all these things and look in nature and everything, speaks it into existence. The sun in the sky, the stars in the sky, everything that we have and that we see all around us, created by him. And yet now he's come here, submitted himself, and put on flesh to walk amongst us. And why? We're going to learn a little bit more about that tomorrow. But just think about that. As I mentioned yesterday, this idea of some people feel like, well, I've gone too far and God can't forgive me. God came all the way here and put on flesh. And the things he subjected himself to in that, he had to go through all the things that we normally do, especially in that time, but he was born. He had to go through growing up. He didn't have to worry about any of these things before. Growing up, thinking about money. There had to be money for him to eat and to be with Joseph and Mary, and then he has these other siblings and so forth. He had to grow up through all that. And then as he starts to be coming into his own, he has this profound wisdom, but no one knows where it's coming from. And they begin to ridicule him and say, "You don't know what you're talking about." But he's the very one that does know what he's talking about. And so there's the Pharisees who believe that he's gone off the rails and he's somewhere out there, and he's trying to talk about the true kingdom and the true purpose. And our biggest problem is sin. They're saying, well, our Messiah is going to come and bring in this new kingdom and throw off Rome, and we'll be the ones who rule the world. And he's like, that's not it. That's not the big problem. And he came here. He went through all that, and then he went through the cross and everything he faced with the cross, the lashings that he took. He was beaten beyond any recognition, and he was spat upon, ridiculed, deceived, and people just threw everything at him. All the terrible things of humanity was thrown at Jesus. And then he went to the cross. How amazing is this? You know, so when we look at this, he walked amongst us and dealt with all of our stuff. You're not too far. You may think, I'm too far gone. You're not too far gone. And for some of us, we might say, well, I may not be too far gone, but there's I just don't think about it that much. Maybe today's the day to do that. Maybe this video is just a way for us to start thinking through all the magnitude of all that God is, his magnificent, wonderful love, the truth that he extended, the eternal truth that he extends, the mercy, and the magnificent love that we can never fathom or express, and realize it's for you. That's a challenge. I think it's best to just leave that there. Maybe it's something for us to think through. I hope you take time to do that. I'll talk to you soon.